Hello Tennos, Zelp here. Welcome back to another interesting video on Warframe. I placed a little hint on Twitter what's coming up in this video. It is in a form of a question, but if you tried answering it, you probably have a good idea what to expect. So let's see if your conclusion fits mine. In a previous video I talked about using a Sentinel for CC and some of you guys liked it. Today we'll see which companion can really help you in terms of damage. Let's bring out the contestants. Our first contestant brought her Kubro to the test. This Kubro is huge, one of the biggest I've seen, but I don't think size matters in terms of strength in this game. Its breed is a Sunika, which I believe is one of the better fighters among the Kubros. Kubros don't have a lot of damage type mods. The one that contributes to damage here is probably only Bite that gives you critical chance and critical damage, Mao that gives you melee damage, and Savagery that allows it to do increased finisher damage. Everything else seems to be modded for survivability purposes. I don't think I've mentioned this yet, but the opponent our contestants will be facing is a level 140 corrupted heavy gunner. Remember, if either the contestants or the owner were to withdraw, that will be the end of the test. Do keep in mind that the owner is not allowed to use any abilities or attack. Here comes the Kubro charging in, and what is this? Oh my god, this is not the time or the place for such display. The heavy gunner breaks it off. Is the Kubro still interested? Nope, it doesn't seem so. He is attacking now and it's causing some kind of bleed going on, and that bleed is doing a massive amount of damage. The heavy gunner doesn't seem to be interested in the Kubro, but only facing and shooting the owner. The Kubro is grabbing onto its opponent, rendering it useless, but I don't think that actually contributes to any damage. Looks like the Kubro got knocked down and he is taking a massive amount of damage, and there it is, the end of the round. Our next contestant is a Kavat. There are two types of Kavats. This looks like an Adazar, and there is another type called a Smita. Unlike the Adazar, the Smita gives buffs only to the owner. They do have an interesting skill that creates a decoy, but in terms of damage dealt, I think the Adazar Kavat does seem to be a little bit better due to the reflect, which reflects and amplified damage back to the enemy. The Kavats do have some pretty good damaging mods that includes increasing attack range, to stunning the opponent, to stripping them off their armor, and I heard they could even make friends with wild creatures by peeing on them. This owner is one of the top tier breeders. He knows what's best for his Kavat. Having such high health with health link really helps his Kavats to survive. I think this is a really smart move. The longer the Kavat stays alive, the more damage it could do, making this contestant more likely to win. Wait, what am I talking about? This is not competition. Alright, enough talking, let's see the fight. Here comes the Kavat charging in, and it staggered the enemy. Oh my god, the first hit. In just the first hit, it has completely removed the enemy's armor. Now we are talking about a level 140 heavy gunner, and to do that in the first hit is really impressive. I realized that the owner is moving in circles. I think he's trying to avoid being in the same line of fire as him, as his Kavat as well, so that the damage done will not be hitting his Kavat, since most of the attacks is directed at the owner. Oh, there goes a beautiful pounce and stagger. Now I do realize that the Kavat staggers the enemy a lot more often than the Kubros, probably because of the mods that it has. There goes another stagger, and you realize that the enemy is bleeding right now. The Kubro and Kavats does mainly slash damage, so seeing bleed proc happen is not really that rare. Right now they are kind of staring at each other. I'm not sure what's going on. I hope it ends soon. Okay, there goes the break. And another stagger, very impressive. Right now the enemy is like within 40 to 30% health lost. Oh no, the Kavat is taking a bleed. There goes another stagger. and I don't know how long can they actually withstand this. And there it is. The owner have called it quits and he's moving away. But even so, doing almost 40% damage is very impressive, considering that bleed procs ignores armor, and since the Kubro has a larger base damage, it might just be able to pull off as much damage if it managed to survive. However, in terms of helping the owner, the Kavat does seem to be a lot better, because stripping the armor and also the buffs that it could provide, that definitely helps a lot. For the final contestant, the owner is a mag? Has she learned nothing from the previous rounds? The survivability of the owner is just as important as its companion. I don't know how tanky she thinks she's modded, but chances are she won't survive long enough. And what is this? The contestant is a Helios, one of those selfie drones. And her report says that the Helios is not even upgraded or modded well. I really don't know what she's trying to prove, but she does seem confident. I say let's see what she's got. Here she is moving in really close. The first hit was a stagger and what seems to be some kind of poison attack from the Helios. And the damage is a lot. Okay, I guess this is the part where I explain what just happened. To be honest, because we can't see the damage done by our companions, it is hard to be 100% sure the cause of those damage, but after trying to reproduce the damage with a throwing weapon, I believe I may have found the answer. I would like you, Thanos, to listen to my logic and let me know if you agree or disagree and why. And also if you would consider this a bug or not, because it's kinda overpowered. Speaking of bugs, at the end of this video I will share with you a known bug that could make this method even more overpowered. First of all, this is the mods that I'm using for the Sentience weapon. It's basically a toxic status effect build with fire up to give it an extra 60% damage. Keep in mind that Toxin does not ignore armor. For a level 140 heavy gunner, the damage reduction is so high that the damage done is actually very insignificant. So why did the Sentient do that much damage? I found out on Wiki that the Deconstructor aims for headshots, but even so that only gives you an extra 2 times damage based on the heavy gunner's body part multiplier. Then I realized that it is a throwing attack. Throwing attack is just like spin attacks, they have their own separate base damage. Let's say if you take the obvious for example, the base damage for a throwing attack is 150, almost 5 times more than its normal attack. So okay, with this 5 times damage plus the double damage from headshot, that will give you about 10 times damage. And you would think that is it, but that damage is still very much lacking. Oh, by the way, you can actually use Shattering Impact here because it is a melee weapon and it does impact damage as well. Only thing that you have to keep in mind is that it does impact damage once every 3 hits. The damage type sequence goes like impact, then slash, then puncture, and repeat. In the attempt to make the damage even higher by inflicting stealth damage, I realized that it doesn't work, and this made me come to a conclusion that what if it's been doing stealth damage all this time? If we were to consider the fact that sentinels don't usually get direct hits unless you're bleeding out, this might mean that the presence of the sentinel is actually really low. And to add to that, using a glaive type weapon, this means that the attack is melee and it is silent. All these points are suitable for causing stealth damage. And taking this to be true, I finally seem to found a logical explanation for the damage that it's been doing. So tell me, Thanos, if you think that this makes sense, and if you have a different opinion, what is it? And also, if you find that this is too good to be true and you would actually label this as a bug. Now for the real bug. The Deconstructor is an exclusive weapon for the Helios, but if you have it equipped first and then change the Sentinel, you'll realize that sometimes certain Sentinels can actually equip the Deconstructor too. Note that this only seems to work if you are on the spaceship. With a different Sentinel, now the weapon will behave differently according to the Sentinel's attack mod. For the Helios, its attack is limited to 3 discs thrown at a time when the enemy is within range of 10 meters. If you use something else like the Worm, you will get to throw more discs out at a time and you'll have a range of 30 meters instead. If the damage is all you want, you should consider removing the second ability most Sentinels have, like for the Worm it is Crowd Dispersion. This is because those skills actually cause a delay to the Sentinels, making them stop attacking. Oh, by the way, if you manage to get it on a Diriga, it will have 70-meter attack activation. Not really sure if the glaive or disc can actually travel that far, but yeah. So once again, thanks for watching. This is Zelp. Remember to subscribe and leave your comments at the description below. I do enjoy reading them. You can come one step closer to me or learn a little bit more about the next video before it comes out by following me on Twitter. Have a pleasant day, Tenno. Bye bye. Duh! Almost forgot, one of you guys made use of what he had learned here in my channel and made a fairly detailed spreadsheet showing damage done on different enemies. He worked on this for weeks, and I'll just like to share the link to his video at the description below if you are interested. Bye bye again.